I stared at Derek in disbelief as he casually sipped his espresso at the hotel cafe in Florence. The morning sun cast golden light through the ancient windows, but I felt ice spreading through my veins. Wait, what do you mean our flight was changed? My name is Maryanne Thompson. I'm 29 years old, and I've been married to Derek for 3 years. We were supposed to be celebrating our anniversary with this dream trip to Italy, but something had felt wrong from the moment we stepped off the plane in Rome. Derek had been acting strange, secretive about our travel arrangements, dismissive whenever I asked about return flight details. When I'd try to discuss our itinerary, he'd wave me off with that grin I used to find charming but now made my stomach clench with unease. Relax, babe, Derek said, that familiar smirk playing at his lips. I handled everything. We fly out tomorrow. Instead of today. Gives us more time to explore. The coffee in my cup had gone cold, but I barely noticed. I pulled out my phone to check our confirmation emails, but Derek's hand shot out, gripping my wrist tighter than necessary. Trust me, I've got it all sorted. Why are you always so paranoid about travel details? The word paranoid hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't paranoid, I was responsible. Someone had to be, since Derek treated life like an endless game where consequences didn't exist. But I wanted desperately to believe this trip could somehow salvage what felt like our increasingly hollow marriage. Fine, I said, forcing a smile that felt like plastic. But can you at least show me the new booking confirmation? I like to have the details in my phone. Derek's expression darkened for just a heartbeat before that practiced smile returned. Stop micromanaging everything, Maryanne. Can't you just enjoy the moment? We're in freaking Italy. There it was again, that familiar knot in my stomach. The one that appeared whenever Derek made my reasonable requests seem unreasonable. He had this gift for making me doubt myself, for turning my practical nature into a character flaw that embarrassed him. You're right, I whispered, hating how small my voice sounded. I'm sorry. That's my girl. Derek squeezed my hand, but his eyes remained cold as winter stones. Now, I need to run some errands this morning. Why don't you explore the city or something? I'll catch up with you later. As Derek walked away, his phone buzzed constantly. He kept glancing at it with an expression I couldn't decipher, excitement mixed with something that looked almost like anticipation. When I tried to glimpse the screen, he quickly shoved the device into his pocket. Just work stuff, he said, but his laugh sounded forced and hollow. You know how it is. I didn't know how it was. Derek worked in marketing for a small company in Phoenix, and had never received urgent work calls during our previous vacations. Something was definitely wrong, but I couldn't name the shadow that seemed to be following us through this beautiful city. I spent the morning wandering through the Uffizi Gallery alone, trying to shake off my growing unease. Botticelli's Angels should have captivated me, but I kept checking my phone for messages from Derek. The masterpieces blurred together as my anxiety mounted. By afternoon, I still hadn't heard from him. When I returned to our hotel room, I found Derek packing his suitcase with unusual efficiency. His movements were quick and purposeful, completely different from his usual laid-back approach to everything. What's going on? I asked, setting down my purse with trembling hands. Change of plans, Derek said without looking up. I need to head to the airport earlier than expected. Work emergency back home. My heart plummeted. Earlier? But you said our flight was tomorrow. Are we both leaving early? Derek paused, his hand stilling on his folded shirts. For a moment, I saw something flicker across his face, guilt, maybe? But it vanished so quickly I wondered if I'd imagined it. Actually, there was a mix-up with the bookings, he said, still avoiding my eyes. My flight is tonight. Yours is tomorrow as planned. I tried to get us on the same flight, but it was completely booked. Something about his explanation felt rehearsed, like he'd practiced these exact words in front of a mirror. A mix-up? Derek, what kind of mix-up? Can't we call the airline and fix it? I already tried everything, he said quickly. Look, it's just one night. You can handle one night alone in Florence, right? Think of it as a mini solo adventure. The way he said it made my skin crawl. There was mockery in his voice, like he found my concern amusing rather than valid. I don't understand why we can't fly back together, I pressed. This is supposed to be our anniversary trip. Derek finally looked at me, and I saw something cold and calculating in his expression. God, Maryanne, you're so clingy. Can't you do anything by yourself? It's one night. You'll survive. The word clingy hit me like a slap. I wasn't clingy, I was confused and hurt that my husband seemed perfectly fine with abandoning me in a foreign country without a proper explanation. Fine, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. If you have to go, then go. Derek's demeanor immediately brightened, like he'd gotten away with something significant. That's the spirit. You'll have a great time. Maybe visit that little church you mentioned wanting to see. As I watched him zip up his suitcase, questions swirled through my mind like autumn leaves. Why hadn't he mentioned this work emergency earlier? Why did he seem so eager to leave me behind? And most troubling of all, why did I have the distinct feeling that Derek was lying to me about something fundamental? The next morning, I woke to my phone buzzing with notifications. Still groggy, I reached for it and saw a series of messages from Derek sent throughout the night. Made it to Phoenix. Thanks for being so understanding about the work thing. Hotel breakfast was terrible compared to that place we went to in Florence. Hope you slept well. Can't wait to hear about your last day there. And then, sent just 2 hours ago, it was so funny. You should have seen your face when I said there was a work emergency. Classic. I sat up in bed, fully awake now, reading the message again. It was so funny. What was funny about abandoning your wife in a foreign country? My phone rang. Derek's name appeared on the screen, and I answered with shaking hands. Morning, babe. His voice was cheerful, almost giddy. Did you see my messages? I've been laughing about it all morning. You were so worried about the flight details, and then when I said there was a work emergency, the look on your face. Derek, I said slowly, my voice strange in my own ears. What are you talking about? The prank. Come on, don't tell me you haven't figured it out yet. The room seemed to tilt around me. A prank? You left me in Italy as a prank. Exactly. And it worked perfectly. You didn't even question it when I said the flights got mixed up. I mean, I actually did change our flights, but only so I could pull this off. I've been planning it for weeks. I couldn't speak. My husband had deliberately stranded me in a foreign country, lied to my face about it, and now he was calling it entertainment. Are you there? Derek's voice carried a hint of impatience. Come on, you have to admit it's pretty brilliant. Wait until I tell the guys at work about this. They'll think it's hilarious. Hilarious, I repeated flatly. Yeah. And the best part is, now you get to prove you're not as helpless as you always act. This is like therapy or something. You should be thanking me. I hung up without another word and sat in that hotel room for an hour, trying to process what had just happened. My husband had turned our anniversary trip into a cruel joke at my expense. He'd planned this betrayal for weeks, watching me worry while knowing he intended to abandon me. Derek called back 17 times that first day. I didn't answer any of them. With my phone turned off, I made my way to the hotel's business center. After logging into my email, the truth became crystal clear and so much worse than I'd imagined. Derek hadn't just changed his flight, he'd canceled mine entirely. According to the airline's confirmation email, my return ticket had been canceled 3 days ago with a passenger requested cancellation note. There was no new booking, no rescheduled flight. He'd left me completely stranded. When I called the airline, the representative was sympathetic but clear. Since Derek had booked the tickets and we were married, the cancellation had been processed without issue. Getting a new flight would cost over $2,000, money I didn't have since Derek managed most of our finances. The hotel concierge, Signora Benedetti, noticed my distress. She was an elegant woman in her 50s with kind eyes and perfect English. Is everything all right, Signora? She asked gently. Before I could stop myself, the whole story came pouring out. Signora Benedetti listened with growing anger. Your husband, he left you here intentionally, she said, her voice sharp with disapproval. This is not a joke. This is very serious. I don't know what to do, I admitted, fighting back tears. First you breathe, she said firmly. Then you. Let us help you. My nephew knows someone, Marco. He guides tours but also helps Americans with travel problems. Very trustworthy man. An hour later, Marco Rossi appeared in the lobby. He was probably in his early 30s with warm brown eyes. And an easy smile that immediately put me at ease. Maryanne, I'm Marco. Signora Benedetti told me about your situation. I'm very sorry this happened to you. Unlike Derek, who would have already made jokes or found a way to blame me, Marco's concern seemed genuine. He listened as I explained. Everything. Your husband planned this before you came to Italy, Marco said carefully. Apparently. He thought it would be funny to see if I could handle being on my own. Marco's expression darkened. This is not funny. This is cruel. A husband should protect his wife, especially in a foreign country, not abandon her for entertainment. Hearing someone validate that Derek's behavior was wrong felt like oxygen after drowning. The next morning, Marco picked me up with a portfolio of documents and a reassuring smile. He'd researched everything overnight: embassy procedures, airline policies, tourist assistance programs. At the embassy, Marco served as both translator and advocate. When the consular officer seemed dismissive, Marco explained the situation in rapid Italian. The officer's demeanor changed completely. What did you tell him? I asked. The truth, Marco said simply. That your husband abandoned you deliberately, and that this is not a joke but a serious betrayal. After the embassy, Marco insisted on taking me to lunch at a small trattoria. For the first time in days, I found myself genuinely laughing as he told stories about his work as a tour guide. What do you think I came here to find? I asked. Marco considered this seriously. I think you came to save your marriage, but maybe instead you will discover what kind of marriage is worth saving. His words hit me with unexpected force. For 3 years, I'd been trying to make things work with Derek, convincing myself his selfishness was immaturity, that his cruelty was humor. But sitting across from Marco, who treated my problems with genuine concern, I began to see the stark difference between kindness and cruelty. Over the next 5 days, Marco became my guide to more than just Florence. He showed me what it felt like to be treated with genuine care and respect. While Derek's idea of romance had been expensive restaurants where he spent most meals checking his phone, Marco brought me to his grandmother's favorite bakery at dawn. My nana met my nano during the war, Marco said as we shared warm cornetti and coffee. She always said the hardest times show you who people really are. When everything is difficult, you see if someone runs away or stays to help. Every morning, Marco helped me navigate rebooking flights and managing the financial disaster Derek had created. Unlike Derek, who became impatient with practical matters, Marco approached each obstacle with calm determination. Problems have solutions, he would say. We find them step by step. Why are you being so kind to me? I asked one afternoon as we sat in the Boboli Gardens. Marco was quiet for a moment. In my country, we have a saying, chi trova un amico, trova un tesoro. Who finds a friend finds a treasure. I think maybe we have found each other at the right time. The way he looked at me made my heart skip. There was warmth in his eyes, genuine affection that felt completely different from Derek's possessive attention. Derek's messages had become increasingly frantic. This isn't funny anymore, Maryanne. You need to come home. People are asking where you are. Each message revealed more about Derek's true character. He wasn't worried about my safety, he was worried about appearances, about having to explain why his wife was still in Italy. One evening at a tiny family restaurant, Marco asked the question I'd been dreading. Your husband, he expects you to return to him after this? I set down my wine glass with trembling hands. He thinks what he did was funny. He expects me to forgive him and move on like nothing happened. And you? What do you expect? For the first time in my adult life, I didn't have a ready answer focused on what other people needed from me. I don't know, I said honestly. A week ago, I would have said I needed to go home and work on our marriage. But now I'm wondering if I've been trying to save something that was never worth saving. Marco reached across the table and gently took my hand. Maryanne, I must tell you something. These days with you have been the best days I've had in a very long time. I know your situation is complicated, but I needed you to know. Looking into his eyes, I saw something I'd forgotten existed, the possibility of being truly seen and valued. Not as a project to fix or a target for pranks, but as a person worthy of genuine love and respect. The next morning, I composed my response to Derek's flood of desperate messages. My hands were steady as I typed the words that would change everything. Derek's prank was cruel, but it led me to Marco. He's been amazing. I sent it at exactly 10 a.m. Florence time, then turned off my phone and went to meet Marco. 2 hours later, I had 47 missed calls from Derek and messages that revealed his true character more clearly than 3 years of marriage ever had. Who the hell is Marco? What's going on over there? You better not be doing what I think you're doing. You're my wife. Get on a plane and come home now. When I finally answered his 48th call, Derek's voice shook with rage and panic. What the fuck is going on? Maryanne? Who is Marco? Are you cheating on me? Derek, I said calmly, looking out at the beautiful view of Florence. Marco is the man who helped me when my husband abandoned me in a foreign country as a prank. He's been kinder to me in 1 week than you've been in 3 years. I didn't abandon you. It was a joke. You're supposed to come home, not start an affair. A joke? I felt something cold settle in my chest. You cancelled my return ticket, Derek. You left me stranded with no way home and thought my panic was entertaining. That's not a joke, that's cruelty. Stop being so dramatic, just. What? Just you getting off on having power over me? I heard you laughing about it, Derek. You called it the best prank ever. Silence. Maryanne, Derek's voice became wheedling and desperate. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Come home and we'll talk about it. Work what out? The fact that you think tormenting your wife is entertainment? There's nothing to work out, Derek. You showed me exactly who you are. But what about our marriage? What about our life together? I thought about the past 3 years, the constant criticism disguised as jokes, the way Derek made me doubt my own perceptions, the exhausting work of trying to earn basic respect. From someone who viewed me as a target rather than a partner. What life together? You mean the life where you mock my concerns, dismiss my feelings, and find creative ways to hurt me for your amusement? It wasn't meant to hurt you, but it did hurt me, Derek. And when I told you it hurt, you told me I was being dramatic. Even now, you're more upset about Marco than about what you did to me. Because you're having an affair with some random Italian guy. I'm discovering what it feels like to be treated with kindness and respect. If that feels threatening to you, maybe you should ask yourself why. Derek's breathing was ragged. Just come home, please. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry it went too far. I'll never do anything like this again. You're right, I said, watching Marco approach with coffee and that gentle smile that had become so precious to me. You'll never do anything like this again, because I won't be there to be your target. Maryanne, no. You can't be serious. You're not leaving me for some guy you just met. I'm not leaving you for Marco, I said quietly. I'm leaving you for me. I hung up and turned off my phone for the last time as Derek's wife. 6 months later. As I watched the sunrise from the terrace of the small bed and breakfast that Marco and I had opened together in the Tuscan hills, I reflected on how Derek's cruel prank had become the catalyst for discovering my own worth and finding genuine love. Derek faced immediate consequences when word spread about what he'd done. His coworkers, expecting funny stories about his brilliant prank, instead learned he'd deliberately stranded his wife in a foreign country. HR launched an investigation after female employees complained about his character and judgment. His reputation crumbled as friends and family realized the calculating cruelty behind what he'd presented as harmless fun. The divorce was swift, with Derek's own text messages serving as evidence of emotional cruelty. He had to cover my extended stay costs, emergency travel arrangements, and legal fees while dealing with the social and professional fallout. Sometimes the most painful betrayals become unexpected gifts, showing us both who we really are and what we truly deserve. Your support keeps these stories alive. Like, share, and subscribe for more.